So over the span of the last week or so, there's been like nonstop news coming out about BioWare. For example, 5 days ago, as we discussed, Dragon Age the Veilguard game director Corinne Bush had left the company. At the time, people were speculating that Corinne Bush was actually let go from the company, and the likelihood of that actually being the case is only increasing as we get more news coming out over the last 24 hours or so about massive layoffs going on over at BioWare. But that's not even all of it. A few days ago, as we also discussed, there was news coming out that Veilguard was indeed a massive failure, only hitting about 50% of the expectations that EA and BioWare had for the game. So with that prelude to the news, with that context, let's take a look at what's been going on, as mentioned, over the last 24 hours or so regarding these new layoffs. ADLV writing confirmed. Dragon Age the Veilguard's writers and producers laid off as part of BioWare's restructuring. Earlier today, BioWare's general manager Gary McKay issued a public statement announcing that the studio is undergoing restructuring to focus on the development of Mass Effect 5, led by veterans from the original trilogy, such as Mike Gamble, Preston W., Derek Watts, and Parrish Lay. According to posts shared on LinkedIn and Blue Sky, BioWare's restructuring has led to the termination of Dragon Age the Veilguard's lead writer Trick Weeks, lead editor Karen Westweeks, and narrative editor Ryan Cormier. Additionally, BioWare producer Jennifer Chevery-Cott, associate game producer Daniel Steed, senior producer manager Alina Anderson, and senior system designer Michelle Flam were also all let go, while senior writer Cheryl Chi, who wrote Dragon Age's Liliana, Isabella, Blackwell, and Harding, and cinematic designer Derek Wilkes were both moved over to EA Motive. Restructuring comes a week after Electronic Arts revealed that Dragon Age the Veilguard has engaged only about 1.5 million players, indicating that the number of copies sold might be even lower than that, and fell 50% short of the publisher's expectations. Shortly thereafter, the developers shipped the Veilguard's Patch 5 release notes, which featured the words Dareth Shiral, Safe Journey, or more commonly, Farewell, in the in-game Elven language, suggesting that the game won't receive any more quality of life updates going forward. We can see some of the associated Blue Sky posts here reading from Trick Weeks. I'm now looking for a new writing/narrative position. It's been a privilege to work with so many amazing devs over my 20 years at BioWare, and I will cherish the memories of the wonderful folk and the community I've met along the way. Thank you all. Karen Westweek saying, hello, I'm looking for work, ideally in an editor role. It's been an honor to work with so many talented professionals and a pleasure to meet so many amazing community members in my 19 years at BioWare. I'm so grateful to all of you. And Ryan Cormier saying, so my time at BioWare has ended. It was a wild ride with some fantastic people, but it's time to look for new challenges. I'm an editor/writer with 26 plus years of experience across video games, novels, short stories, newspapers, and marketing comms. If you know of a good fit, please let me know. Comments on this article such as, shocker, game was overall garbage with decent combat. The writing and atmosphere were terrible and off-brand. Forced dialogue of stuff no one asked for or cared about. Another one reading, tried the game and actually liked the gameplay whatsoever, but overall boring story got me to quit after 5-ish hours. So I think they didn't make the wrong choice on this one. And another one saying, majority of the departees appear to be writers, so no shock there whatsoever. That game's writing was absolutely awful at best of times, and arguably insulting at the worst. Additionally, while it's supposition on my part based purely on surnames, it looks like the lead writer and lead editor are related. Really, BioWare? Sure, it's not impossible to have an effective writer-editor relationship between two people who are close, but it's certainly not advised. The editor's going to have an implicit bias towards the writer. Then over on Reddit, we've got some comments like this saying, Patrick Weeks, the pansexual vegetarian they-them creator of Tosh, one of the most hated characters in gaming, HR disaster of a human being. I would hate to have to sit next to this person at work. However, a response says, apparently Weeks wrote more Din back in Mass Effect 2. Going from that to Tosh? How the mighty fall. However, over on the subreddit for Dragon Age the Veilguard, people are devastated about this news, crying that they'll never get another Tosh. For example, this post that reads, I'm literally crying right now. Now we'll never get more Tosh. Someone else had apparently said, I'm crying tears of joy, to which another Veilguard person says, F off. Although that person apparently later edited their comment to say, same. And if you think the person crying about Tosh might be being sarcastic or trolling or something, their post history would suggest otherwise. as they're regularly, unironically, on the Veilguard subreddit praising the game. So it does seem like this person really is devastated that, yeah, this looks like the end for Tosh. That's it. Pack it up. Tosh is so over. Yeah, so you know what? I kind of take that back, actually, because I read some more posts from this person, and I do think they're trolling. These posts are absolutely insane. If they're not trolling, this person is completely deranged. But here's the caveat. Even if they are trolling, the fact that Veilguard shills are supporting the crazy stuff this person is saying also already speaks volumes about the Veilguard shills and the Veilguard subreddit. So yeah, you got to see some of this stuff. Here's a few examples. First, a little bit of context on this. So as you can see here, this absolute coat post that aged terribly, saying, okay, just so everyone gets a clear picture of what happened, the director voluntarily exited BioWare, not fired. An article specifically state this does not mean Veilguard failed to meet sales. As we know, yeah, that aged terribly, and Veilguard indeed massively did not meet sales. But we can see that particular Redditor saying in response to that post, I have put so much of myself into this game that if it actually fails, I would become inconsolably depressed and angry. And they actually got 21 upvotes. A comment that was probably pointing out how ridiculous that take is got minus 26 downvotes and was removed by the moderators. That user then saying, GTFO out of here, chud. I don't care what the numbers say. We won't give you the satisfaction. Veilguard was better than Origins, and everyone knows it. And they got 17 upvotes for that one. In a separate thread, that user said, I love how the chuds think they know better than trained professional games journalists. And they got 39 upvotes for that. Again, let me stress, I think this person's trolling, but like Veilguard shills are unironically supporting these takes, and that's what I find crazy. These people are living in absolute delusion. They are like so detached from reality. The sort of people to unironically praise gaming journalists and label any critics of Veilguard chuds. On the kind of similar note, there was a post that said, ideas for Varric tweaking. And we got that same Veilguard troll here saying, I read this as quote unquote Varric twerking, and I realized that this is the only thing Veilguard needs to be perfect. And they got 32 upvotes. And yeah, we know how these Veilguard shills, these modern audience types, love to call people chud and all that stuff. But another thing they like is calling other people gooner. Simultaneously, they'll see a comment like that and think, yeah, that's what Veilguard needs. And they'll upvote it. Many such cases of people like that being hypocrites. A few years ago, the big one was calling people porn addicts. Usually coming from like the most porn addicted people out there on Twitter who would call others that. An example I always like to go back to and cite is when some weirdo Twitter cop was like complaining about a video I made over on their Twitter account, and they called me a porn addict. And then I took a look at their Twitter account, and like the first thing pinned on their profile was NSFW furry porn that they made. I'm like, bro, ain't no way this person is calling me a porn addict, and that is their pinned freaking tweet. You got to be kidding me. Enough about that troll person, though. I'm sure you get the point. Once again, the point being that I just think it's crazy that people are like unironically supporting those takes. Yet another example of how crazy the Veilguard subreddit is. Lastly, here's a top post from a different user. This is like a, your average Veilguard subreddit user here, average Veilguard shill, saying, how could they? I've seen mixed reports on the sales expectations, but if the negative articles are accurate, we know what happened. And posting this meme attempt, Veilguard haters, review bombing, destroying Veilguard sales. Then the Veilguard haters saying, how could the woke devs do this? I think that's how the meme that they made is supposed to be read, but yeah, it's kind of a tryhard meme. I'm really not 100% sure. Like, what kind of weird straw man is this too? What do you mean? They're saying that the Veilguard haters got this game to fail because they review bombed it? So again, they're trying to imply that like Veilguard is a perfect game, there's nothing wrong with it, it just got review bombed and that's why the sales are bad. Bro, delusional cope. More delusional cope. Except this time in the form of a really bad meme. And as mentioned, I think I mentioned this is the top post on the Veilguard subreddit, getting 590 upvotes in 6 hours. But yeah, that's enough crazy town for me, so we'll leave it there. Let me know what you think about the latest news regarding those layoffs and the little trip we had on the Veilguard subreddit. Hopefully one day those people will wake up from their delusions and, become reasonable people, but we can only hope. Once again, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my coverage, and if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.